Alright, I think I really like this change I just made. And just so you know, it's very simple. If you're following this build, you only got to do basically two things. First off, get rid of no resistance against the fortified, because it will be useless for you now. And instead put Primal Rage on to get that 50% reduction on cooldown for Boulder Dash, so you still have a low cooldown on that skill. And you see my cooldowns are like that now, back to normal essentially. In the skill tree, I started in the middle more and I went up further ahead so I can grab more health because I'm not going to use armor piercing at all. And you saw my packs tree. I go bottom route now. And I'm not doing the armor piercing cooldown, any of that now. Instead I go bottom route, and I've noticed it increases my damage dramatically. And also, like, look at that, it's just that. I mean, my other dude could do it fast too, but I think that was even a little bit faster. But what I do know is I clear front line here in 7 minutes, whereas before he was doing it in like 8.5, I want to say. I have videos of it, but I know it was way longer. And I won't show the videos, but I already soloed Tarya Guitar again on this dude, and the boss fight at the end was even easier and quicker. It was easy, of course, on my other dude, because he just spams Gravity Leap for days, but I think it took me like maybe 2 minutes to solo him. This time, on this dude, it takes less than 1.5 minutes. It was like 1:20, I want to say, which is a little bit less time than all of my other classes now. So his damage is right up there now with like my Pyro and Trickster now because of this change. And I think it's because the damage is like similar to the Trickster's Deception tree now, where every time I hit, so it increases my single targeting damage pretty well too, which is why I cleared that boss quicker, because basically a big chunk of my damage is still my skills, even though I'm also using weapons, and now they basically just always are doing 60% more essentially, because it increases it for each next kinetic skill. And in the boss fight, Endless Mass is mostly useless, so I just alternate between Gravity Leap and Boulder Dash, and my cooldowns are still low enough where I can do that virtually endlessly, and their damage is basically up 60%. But now my cooldowns are more consistent, where I can justify putting Moaning Winds on too. So basically what you're seeing though is like you're seeing I'm still like just mowing them down and still enjoying flying around so much, using my skills even more. Like, yeah, you see that? Because in the bottom tree there's another cooldown for kinetic, except instead of it being based on armor piercing, it reduces the cooldown for 1 second for each enemy hit by a kinetic skill. In the boss fight for Tarya Guitar, it's still low enough where I can literally be in Gravity Leap and Boulder Dash endlessly, still interrupting him constantly, still, doing almost the same thing I was already doing to him before, because I have a 5-second cooldown on Gravity Leap. But with Boulder Dash, the Primal Rage is key, because basically in the boss fight I just alternate between the two, and Boulder Dash, again, it's 1 second for each hit. Boulder Dash hits twice. So in a boss fight, I just noticed, wait a minute, it takes the cooldown down twice if I hit him both times, but that's usually the case. So my Grav Leap, essentially in like the Tarya Guitar fight, the end boss fight, it still has a 3-second cooldown essentially, and my Boulder Dash still has like a 1 second or less cooldown, because Gravity Leap's fueling it too. Every time I Gravity Leap, Boulder Dash is ready again. And then I Boulder Dash, and then it basically gets Gravity Leap. It's not ready quite immediately, but it's like maybe a millisecond in between. But that's perfect though, because it gives me a millisecond to just pop a shot after Boulder Dash and then get back to Gravity Leaping again, or use Moaning Winds again. And I'm doing more damage. So that's really cool. And again, it's per enemy affected. So when I'm in groups, I'm still able to basically spam my skills, because you've probably been seeing it here. Like I'll like Gravity, I'll use Endless Mass and Gravity Leap, and then my Endless Mass is immediately ready again. Or I use Endless Mass when Gravity Leap's on cooldown, and then it affects a ton of enemies and it's immediately ready again. So I really like this build, and especially because not just because the damage is increased dramatically, I can tell, but I am buying away tankier, because I'm getting the Earth and Shield going now, and with my max health still being the key, I think it's helping my shield gains too, or at least I know health is your shield is tied to your strength. I feel like from what videos I've seen, it seems like the shield you get is just a set, like a little amount, but still like decent enough to keep building up constantly. But it seems to be a percentage that it seems like all the devs basically get the same amount. But if that's the case, it still makes this build better for it, because that's still more shield. Because again, that's more, if it's the same percentage, that's still a higher amount for me, just because I have a higher health bar. So I didn't take 0 damage in this expedition, but that is literally and only because I just, you know, the beginning, like I can't get it until I hit someone and I've already taken damage. But honestly, if that wasn't the case, if you're paying attention, I'm pretty sure I would have taken 0 damage too on this dude, just like on Trickster. So yeah, this is much better. So now that I've got into that, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they've already released the patch notes for the next update Tuesday, and they're already planning, it looks like they might nerf the cooldown build. Now I think they're addressing the pyro though, because there's currently another cooldown that's more popular and more about damage clearly, where the pyro gets no cooldown on thermal bomb. So I think that's what they're talking about. But regardless, I mean, I'm keeping this build anyway, because honestly, I actually think it's surprisingly better, and it doesn't feel broken, because it's more consistent. My cooldowns feel more consistent, even though they're still very low, and I kind of enjoy still choosing my weapons sometimes. So honestly, this is a better build anyway. So I kind of wouldn't have even come across it if I didn't learn of that update and then immediately started trying to change things on my martial build. So inadvertently, it helped. But yeah, I just letting you know, they're probably going to nerf that. They also are going to nerf the Trickster shield build that I'm using in some way. And the reason is because after World Slayer solved the build, it just the damage became ridiculous because people are combining that with Trespasser, and then it allows them to essentially one-tap the boss once they just wait for those few ads to spawn next to him. But yet also have mostly max health on their gear too, and take 0 damage as well. Now because of that though, I'm still not too concerned about my Trickster build, because I think most likely they're going to nerf maybe the damage. If they do, we'll just see how heavy it is, if it can't even use it. If that's the case, I already know, like, my Trickster, I would go, like, in both trees, because I always wanted to go the top tree to get the shield. You can get another shield gain that also affects your teammates, too. So I might just do that and get even crazier shield on him, and then also be even more of a support with just slow trap, activating all the freaking time with the buff in it, and then the shield insane, and still being a super duper tank, I'm betting. Because maybe they will nerf the shield gains themselves, but if they did, it would nerf Tricksters, because I don't see how they could nerf that build I have for tanking without like straight up nerfing the cooldowns on your skills, nerfing the amount of shield Tricksters are able to get from their skills, and that would affect everyone. So it would literally weaken the class itself if they did that. So we'll see. I will say this: screw the developers, because they don't compensate the players when they do these changes. If it were me, I would make sure every mod is unlocked, every attribute is unlocked, and you have a few day window to change whatever you want. In my view, I don't care if you're a player and you agree with them. I don't care about your view. I really don't. You know, unsubscribe, I don't care. I really don't. Miss me with all that. Because it's stupid. Because you can justify it all you want. But at the end of the day, I would rather play a game that has broken mechanics, but has more content, and more fun, and more variety, and just gives me the option to do. I can choose. This game isn't PvP. You can choose to do it or not. You don't have to. Sometimes I've deliberately done weaker builds just for the fun of it. People can do that. And there's no reason to nerf everything in this game to do that. It's bullcrap. It's stupid. And I will say this, we paid $40 for this. And they clearly, and you players who wanted this crap, you spent more time rebalancing, quote, the game, and are still doing it with these updates, than you did caring one bit about the story or the content. We don't even have new dialogue options for the characters. It is stupid. We want content first, is what I'll say about that.